Okay, Frank Bonada here for Throne Hope podcast. With me today is Modestas Bukauskas, the Baltic gladiator himself, who is going to be fighting at UFC 260, March 27th. How's it going, Modestas?
Yes, going very well, thank you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. So fight week is slowly creeping up. How's your training camp been so far?
Yeah, it's been going really, really well. I ironed out a lot of pieces of my game that needed to be worked on, really, or things that I'd sort of highlighted since my last fight. And yeah, I mean, everything's just been falling into place. It just seems like I'm just keeping, I just keep getting better. So it's very promising, and I'm really excited for fight night.
Okay, good. So we've had a year of COVID impacting everything essentially. How have you felt? How's it impacted you as an athlete? And what sort of changes, or are there any changes between your previous two fights in 2020 compared to this coming training camp now?
To be honest, nothing's really changed. It's crazy because obviously it's affecting such a large part of the population. But obviously I'm slightly different to sort of the average person. So I've been talking to my friends and they've been saying, oh, like their jobs and furlough and all sorts and stuff like that. Realistically, for me, everything goes on as normal. There are not really restrictions per se. I mean, yeah, like for people to train stuff out there are, but for me, I'm under the guideline of an elite athlete. So anyone that I'm sort of training with is pretty much helping me to prepare for my fight. So it's under the sort of the same guideline, really. But obviously, I'm not training in massive groups. It's only like, but I think it's better that way. I think it's actually been so much better during COVID because everything's been a lot more specific to myself. And, in this game, you have to be a little bit selfish and stuff like that. And I'm so thankful for my training partners and coaches really like dialing in and doing everything they can possible to see me succeed and see me get the most out of myself. So, the couple of training partners that I am training with, like, very few, like I think the most, I think there's 2 training partners in one room that I'm training with. It's everything's been going in the right direction. The only thing is obviously, when you want to go do something nice with your girlfriend or whatever, or take a walk somewhere or do something a little bit different, you don't have that option. So the only thing is, like, in terms of entertainment, there's less, which makes dieting probably a little bit harder. So we're having to just tune into Netflix most of the time. But aside from that, man, yeah, in terms of training, everything's still going exactly the way I want it.
Okay, perfect. Which gym are you at the moment? Give me a little shout out.
So I'm training out of a couple of different places actually, but so my dad's gym, Gintas Combat, the gym itself is not open, but the soul of the club is still there. So obviously, my dad being my head coach will go under that name, and BST Academy in Northampton, I'll go up there and train quite a lot. They've been helping me out a hell of a lot, especially, like I said, my training partners there, and also Team Renegades in Birmingham. I've come down for a couple of sessions there to do a bit of sparring, Leon and Fabian and Matt and stuff like that. They've got a really good group of guys. So, I've been getting some training with them and it's been absolutely amazing. It's definitely helped me step up my game for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, especially with names like the Edwards brothers. I bet that helps loads. So are there any major changes you've implemented into this camp to deal with your opponent? I was going to try to say his name, but
Yeah, no, it's all good, mate. Trust me. I know all these Eastern European names, man. It's just better to steer away from them, to be fair. Yeah, there's not necessarily, since my last fight, there's not necessarily, like, my skill set's still there. It's just all about, mixing things up a little bit better. It's like the individual skills are there. It's just how you're going to put it all together. The only things I've really, I guess you could say, been working on more of is just working on just being myself more, like letting things go, not being afraid to throw things, like bring out my flamboyancy that I had earlier on in my career and stuff like that, and just do crazy stuff, and then just put it all together. My grappling stepped up a level, my striking stepped up a level. Everything that I've been doing in this training camp It's not just been preparing for this opponent, it's been preparing for any opponent. Just everything in terms of strategy is now a lot more dialed in. So the things you could say that really have helped is having a sports psychologist. Definitely something that I think most athletes should look into doing. Looking at strategy more, like I said, is another big part of sort of the training and everything. And yeah, just doing more stuff with striking that I was used to before. So really, the improvements have been made incrementally in areas that are not so widely sort of recognized by people. It's stuff that's sort of like underlying that people don't see that have been helping me to improve getting ready for this fight.
Okay. So when you look at Oleksiejzuk, I'm going to go with that. When you look at him as an opponent, what do you see in terms of like strengths and weaknesses?
Well, so clearly he's got very good hands and he's got a very powerful rear hand. Like that's the shot that really works for him really well. I've not seen him throw too many kicks, but he's very powerful and a lot of forward pressure. He does not take the foot off the gas. He comes forward constantly. So yeah, he puts the pressure on. So he's a very good pressure fighter, especially with the use of his hands and just overwhelming guys. But the areas where I find that he's weak is obviously that has been shown in the past is grappling and his wrestling, which seems to it's funny. That's the sort of things that people used to say about me and probably still do at this time. But like I say, he's had a year out, so obviously he's probably going to have had time to work on those sort of things. But again, yeah, his bread and butter is seems to be his striking and his forward pressure. So I can see that there's going to be many areas that I'll be able to take this fight and to overwhelm him and beat him in this fight. But yeah, it's a good opponent for me.
Mm-hmm. So you both sort of came up on the European scene with yourself at Cage Warriors, and he's been around the block a bit. But were you aware of each other at all as you were coming up towards UFC?
I felt like it, maybe not going towards the UFC, but definitely when I got into the UFC, I felt like that was a name I could potentially face. He beat the same opponent that I beat in Nasilia. So, we and he's fought Wojciech as well. So we fought similar opponents, funny enough. But yeah, I only really knew that would be a potential outcome when I got to the UFC.
Okay. So looking back on 2020, a win and a loss for you and the UFC debut, of course. How do you look back at 2020? Was it a positive year as a whole, or what do you take from it?
It was a massive. I took a load of things from that year. I've had a lot. I had ups and downs and stuff along the way, but at the same time, it's all part of my journey and part of my learning process and part of my way to sort of pave my way to achieve greatness within the sport and the UFC. Having that call at the beginning of the year saying that I just got signed by the UFC was obviously a massively amazing moment for me and my family. And, it was just an achievement that I've been so longing for all this time. And it finally happened. So that was amazing. Then getting my debut, cancelled because I was supposed to fight in May in San Diego. And I was really excited to make my American debut, and that didn't happen. But then obviously getting the rescheduling to Fight Island was absolutely amazing. And then so having to get into experience Fight Island, actually twice getting to experience it was absolutely amazing. The hospitality is next level. And obviously the UFC take care of us really well as well. But yeah, then having the opponent change and having something last minute, having, bursitis just before that fight and stuff like that. But then coming out with the win, getting the 50 Gs, and then getting a very highly ranked opponent. But I learned a lot of things. So aside from all the great things that happened last year, the things that happened, you could say, that weren't in my favor was actually a really positive thing underlying, because I learned a hell of a lot from Jimmy Crute. I learned the things I needed to work on more, the things that I needed to do more. But it just proves I do have the skill set. I do have what it takes. I just need to show it out more and just bring it out of me in the fights. So the things that I've been improving since that last fight are definitely turning me into the fighter that I am today. And surely you're going to see the Baltic Gladiator 2.0 on full effect when it comes to the 27th.
No, I don't doubt it. So you've mentioned the hospitality and treatment that you received at Fight Island. What sort of changes are you noticing? Like, you've moved on from Cage Warriors, which is a very established promotion in the UK and in Europe, but now you're in the UFC, the big leagues, I suppose you could say. But again, it's in the COVID time, which can put a different swing on things. What sort of changes are you noticing now that you're in the UFC?
I think I have to admit the UFC takes care of the fighters second to none. Like better than Bellator, better than any other promotion out there. The UFC is number one. I mean, you hear Conor McGregor say it on countless occasions. UFC is number one, and there's a reason for that. And the way that they take care of their fighters is absolutely amazing. They sort everything out for you. They make sure that you're on point with your travel and where you're staying and what you're doing. The professionalism of doing your raps and everything behind the scene. Everything's absolutely amazing. They're doing the media. They walk you through everything. They make sure you don't have to lift a finger. They make everything very easy for you. They make you literally just have to concentrate on fighting and winning. I would say Cage Warriors did a very good job of getting you prepared to fight on big shows and big events because of the way that they had to be fair, everything was similar to the UFC, just on a much smaller scale. So they still did everything, like all the media and stuff like that and the backstage, but just, like I said, everything is just bigger and better. It's just like an amplification of what Cage Warriors was able to give. The amount of media coverage and the amount of focus that Cage Warriors had in the European scene was absolutely amazing because it just gave you the stepping stone to be able to be ready for the UFC. I think a lot of promotions don't make you ready for those big leagues, but Cage Warriors is one of them, which definitely does, because they give you the platform to be able to go out to the UFC and do the job. That's why you see a lot of Cage Warriors fighters end up doing so well in the UFC. So it's definitely a great platform to go to the bigger leagues.
Okay. So yeah, spoken about the treatment, but do you find there like a change in skill level now that you've moved up to the UFC? Only two opponents in, but yeah, is there anything noticeably different?
No, man. Like, I think the opponents that they gave me were really tough.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, I think guys are going to be a bit more well conditioned, or that they'll have more means. They'll probably have more means to be able to train full time. So they're going to have their strategies down a bit better. They're going to be able to pay better their coaches and stuff like that. So you could probably get the most out of the fighters that are fighting in the UFC. But in terms of skill level, from the very top, like the top of your, like in Europe and the country and stuff like that, it's very small marginal details that defer the two things. Like when I fought Wojciech, Hamlet, Nasilia, they're all high level fighters. I'm pretty sure if that's very similar to the level. And then Michailidis, when I had him in the debut, he was one of the big European fighters as well, then fighting in the UFC. So really, it's not, for me, it wasn't that much different. Obviously, when you're talking about you're fighting the lower level fights, and of course there's a massive jump in skill level and stuff like that. But when you fight in the top of the top anywhere, it's like the margin like are very small, and then it's like the jump to the UFC is then like, again, just a very small jump. They're just the skill level's still there, but like I say, they probably have more means to be able to train better. Their cardio is a little bit better, and obviously they're more used to fighting on big fights, so they're able to show out more. They're probably a bit more aggressive. So in terms of, it's just the attributes of the fighters are better, just because they're in a position to be able to do so. And being used to having media coverage and stuff like that, I feel like the pressure though fighting for both is exactly the same way.
Okay. So not to look past your upcoming opponent, but should you get the win, should we see the Baltic Gladiator 2.0 in full effect, where does that leave you in your mind in the light heavyweight division?
I'll be looking to fight whoever they give me.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter who I fight, I'll still be getting the paycheck. At the end of the day, I feel that winning on the 27th will just give me leeway to fight another top name, maybe in the top 20. But like I said, it doesn't matter who it is. I have one more fight, and then I get to fight someone top 15. I feel like I'll be ready to fight someone in the top 15 straight away. But of course, I understand there's a procedure. You have to
Yeah.
go through the ranks and do what you got to do. You beat opponents, you'll get noticed. It's just simple as that. You do it impressively. You show who you are. You're going to get these opportunities. I feel that somewhere down the line, obviously our two respective paths are completely different, and we're going on our own separate trajectories. But I do feel there will be a Jimmy Crute rematch somewhere down the line when we're both higher up in the rankings and stuff like that, because he's a tremendous fighter, and I do see our paths crossing again. I feel obviously he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing, but somewhere across the way our paths will cross again, and that'll be a very exciting matchup as well. So realistically, the path to gold in the UFC is just win your fights. Simple as that. So it doesn't matter who it is, go and whoop them.
Okay. Well, speaking of gold, we've got your division's champion fighting this weekend, Jan Blachowicz against Israel Adesanya. How do you see that fight going?
Listen, I will never bet against my European man, Jan Blachowicz. He's the light heavyweight king. He's come through a lot of adversity. He's improved his skill set so much. He's got very heavy hands. Listen, being a European myself and being a next door neighbor to Poland, that's the guy that I'm looking to win that fight. But of course, you can't deny that Adesanya is a extremely well-skilled and well-rounded opponent, and he's going to cause a lot of problems, obviously, for Jan. But I think the weight difference, along with the expertise in grappling that Jan has, and he's got very powerful hands, should be able to overwhelm Adesanya. Or the only person that has overwhelmed him, has got the heavier hands and able to cut the distance. So Adesanya, I'm not taking anything away from him. He bloody moves so amazing. He's got perfect timing, great defense and takedowns. But being a man from Europe, I'm going for my European man.
Fair enough. Just one more on that question, actually. Do you think the small cage would impact Adesanya's movement at all?
I don't think so, because again, in the Brad Tavares fight, it didn't affect him at all. I think Jan will actually find it easier to close the distance, so maybe that will play a factor. Even for the takedowns, that'll be a factor. But like I say, when you're in the cage, you adapt and overcome, and you figure out a way to do things. And obviously, he moves really well, but it just gives him less space to move his head out of the way or step back. So I think that will definitely play a factor for sure.
Okay. Well, actually, what are your thoughts on fighting in the small cage for the first time in your UFC career, I believe?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I mean, like I said, it's less space to move, less space to run, less space to stop a takedown. There's just so many advantages. And I want to get into a fight with loads of action and loads of movement, and you've got to go out there and perform. Doesn't matter what. It's the same when you go out into battle, you can't say, oh no, sorry, the space is too big or whatever, or and stuff like that. You just got to go out there and use your environment. You use it to your advantage. So at the end of the day, small cage or not, I mean, okay, we're going to be in the midst of the fight, and that's exactly what I want.
Okay. So just to finish up, what are your goals for this year, and where do you want to be come the end of 2021?
It's my goal to be at the end of 2021 within the top 15 in the UFC. I'm looking to try and fight 5 times this year. I know that's a very hefty goal to have for a year, but I'm looking to stay ready, stay healthy, and go out there and keep competing and keep bloody winning. That's all it is, man. Just keep improving, stay on the ball, take no rest, take no time off, just get in there and do what I've got to do. Looking to have 5 fights this year, 5 big wins, get into the top 15, and man, pave my way to go to the UFC Gold for next year. So, like I say, I'm very confident and very excited about this year, and I'm just ready to take it on fight by fight, day by day, and go out there and put on some amazing performances.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure we all can't wait to watch you put on those performances. Thank you so much for coming on, Modestas, and giving us your time. Any shout outs or sponsors you'd like to give?
Yeah, no worries, man. I've got to say, obviously, a massive shout out to Mauler MMA. My man Fred's always hooking me up. I've got to say another big thank you to Distinct Physiotherapy. She is the woman. She's been helping me since day one. We got such a good relationship in terms of, you know, physio and client, and where we've become amazing friends. And you know, she really has been a pivotal part of my career, and I've got to thank her a lot, obviously. I've got to thank Iridium Sports Agency. I mean, how could you not? Best agency in the world. Jason, Jacob, you know, Ed, everyone else that are part of the team, all absolutely amazing fellas. Yeah, and I've got to, you know, I just got to thank all my team. Like, you know, obviously my dad, Danny, Raymond, Lucas, people down at Renegade, you know, Ed, who's been working my main stuff with like the jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So, you know, I've got a massive stable of people always helping me and always helping me to get better and do my thing. Oh, I've got to give I don't know if I've given a shout out yet to Fight Shop UK. He literally gives me anything anytime I need it in terms of equipment. So I've got to give and he's Lithuanian too. So obviously having a Lithuanian brother out there to help out is always nice. Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry if I've left anyone out, but obviously that when it comes to fighting, there's so many people that are like behind the scenes doing so much for the fight. The fighters going out there and performing, but they don't see all the little things that are going on behind the scenes. And there's a lot of people in my life that I'm so grateful to have. And yeah, I can't wait to go and rise together with them and make a spectacular journey of it.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, like I say, thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck in your future endeavors in the UFC.
All right, nice one, brother. Thank you so much for having me again.
Cheers.
Yeah, really nice chatting to you.
You too.
All right,
Thank you.
nice one. Bye bye.